Okay. All right, Linda. So tell me about what the purpose of your lesson is and what you want your students to learn from this lesson.
So doing a math lesson, and I really want the kids to get an understanding of how to express their answers. I think with the Common Core shift and the new curriculum, we're asking them to explain beyond what they're used to explaining. So instead of just giving an answer, being able to justify is to give them different strategies to get to an answer.
Awesome. So tell me about your class right now. How are your students? What do you think is going well so far this school year? What have you seen their strengths are? Also some areas of challenges that you may be experiencing.
Okay, they know how to think pair share, they know how to talk to their partners, but when they're asked to transfer that onto paper, they get lost. And they lack the academic vocabulary. Not everyone.
So it sounds like you're saying that vocally and when they're with a partner or with a group that they're able to express how to solve these problems. But you also mentioned different strategies. So just so I understand correctly, are they able to do it one way and kind of just one way, their mindset on that, and then they have difficulty? Or so they are able to one way successfully do it on paper?
And they're not used to this whole, explain your answer and show me an alternate form of answering this question. They get so nervous.
Students, what do you think would be really beneficial for them to learn, or maybe for you if you could say, hey, I want to teach them, or this is something that I want them to grasp? How do you think would be a good way to go about that?
Of getting their buy-in, I guess that's my answer, is as far as how can I get them to really be interested in the content and fully engaged.
So tell me a little bit about your lesson and the instructional strategies that you're going to be using.
So this unit that we're in particular, we just started it yesterday, and they don't know what exponents are. The purpose of my lesson tomorrow is to just have them understand what it is first, and then just practice that one step before we jump into multiplying exponents. Okay. That's going to change. It gets more complicated after that.
So you just started this unit today?
Yes.
Okay. So
it's very fresh.
Very fresh. So just still trying to introduce that academic vocabulary, get them to understand what exponents are.
Yes. What we're asked to teach them, for some reason, is very new to this group of kids. Whereas years before, last year, I had the group who already knew everything. So I do feel like this group needs more scaffolding, definitely for math.
Tomorrow, as you're teaching your lesson, what evidence of student learning are you going to be looking for? What's your goal tomorrow as you're teaching or you're modeling and you're introducing this academic vocabulary and just keep getting them familiar with exponents? What are you going to be looking for at the end when you say, oh, I think they got this lesson, or this lesson went successful because of what?
So that's my goal tomorrow, is for them to be able to successfully create an explain it all skit of a minute maybe. It takes about a minute, where they're going to be showing me the 3 strategies. Okay. And then I'm also going to be monitoring them informally throughout. I monitor them when they put their answers on the board, a clear idea of who's understanding it right away. There are some students who won't answer right away. And those are the students I go to see and monitor if they're really progressing through the lesson. If not, we'll stop and we'll go back and review the strategies.
Okay. Are these 3 different strategies all going to be introduced tomorrow? Or
I will be reviewing 2 strategies and introducing a new strategy.
What are the specific areas of focus which you would like me to concentrate on?
I would really like for you to take note of the differentiation needs. Always the outliers, maybe 2 or 3 kids who I don't see that are needing the help, because the time that I have is focused on the one kid that didn't answer on time, or the one kid who got it wrong. It would be a good way to notice those kids that aren't getting it. Besides looking at the gestures and the lack of completion, I want to make sure that they are all at least engaged, but in a way that they're asking for help. I think that's very important. Having that gradual release of responsibility is another thing that my students are struggling with right now. They don't know how to ask for help.
Well, great. I'll definitely be looking for that, and I'm excited because I think I can definitely help, and you've given me lots to work with. So tomorrow we will have the observation at 9:30.
Okay. Looking at place value and powers of 10. Today we're going to take So we need to be able to explain on paper what is inside your brain. Okay? And we've been practicing many ways how to do that. So let's go ahead and get started with our learning target.
Precisely, I could
Okay, meet me back up here. And read what I just wrote. I can check and explain my mathematical thinking clearly and precisely by using two or more strategies to expanded notation. And what is expanded notation? It's a notation expanded. Expanded notation. Gotta be going, okay? Gotta get going on it. For 2 minutes, you are going to write this number down, and you're going to show me, just by yourself, how many ways you can expand it or write it in expanded notation. 67. Go. Try to write more than one way. Wonderful. Give it up. So let's look at the strategy that she used. Adding it to our notebook. What strategy did she use? She used our expanded notation strategy, but using what? Addition. She used which strategy? The addition expression. That was one way. Who has another way? Sammy, come on up. In order to do that, I'm going to show you briefly what it looks like up here. 8, it would be what? 8 times
1,000.
times 1,000. Why am I multiplying 8 by 1,000? Using exponents to show the power of 10. So to show exponents, how do we do that? Cameron, give it to me. Very nice. Very nice. So now he added the other strategy of 10. Now, an exponent. What is an exponent? It's multiplied times what? Itself, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to multiply myself exponentially. Again, I have a number, for example, the number 8, and I'm going to give it the exponent of 3. What does that mean? 8 times 8 times 8. So I have a conjecture times 10. That is my conjecture. What is a conjecture? Whiteboards onto your Padlet. I want you to tell me if my conjecture is true. And I want you to do it in word form. Okay? Tell me why my conjecture is or is not writing on your Padlet. Okay? Conjecture is true. Give me a thumbs up. If you think that my conjecture is not true, give me a thumbs down. Okay, that means that my conjecture is false. It is not true. 10 to the 10th power is not the same thing as 10 times 10. What is 10 times 10? 10 to the 10th power is what? 10. So that is what it equals. 10 to the 10th power equals
8, 9, 10.
Done. Commas. There you go.
That's the real answer.
Never say that.
Place value form.
And it's also written in words. I'm going to ask you to use 41 to show me that you in fact can explain your mathematical thinking clearly by using 2 or more strategies. You have 4 that you can choose from so far, right?
Well, you did a great job on your lesson. I'd like to debrief and talk about the things that you think went well during your lesson.
Okay, well in my notes, after I reflected, I think that some of the things that went well is that I had all of the students engaged when it came to using the technology, working with the partners, and writing down the notes that we want to take and get out of the lesson. I really liked the results of our student journaling when they did the final summative assessment of the lesson of what strategies they could use. The lesson target was mastered, and so I felt like I could have maybe fixed that, maybe upped it a little more, but I think that for the purpose of my lesson, I did get what I wanted out of the students, which was to say and discuss with one another and also show me 2 or more strategies.
I think that you did a great job incorporating the academic vocabulary. I loved how in the beginning when you had the students partner share with somebody what they think the word precisely means. And also throughout the lesson, you would say with your chants, what is expanded notation? I liked how you did the informal assessments throughout, so you were really able to help support them when you were able to see how many different ways, when you asked them how many different ways were you able to show the number 8,467. You had them put their fingers up, whether they did 3, 2, or 1, to informally assess, and all of them were able to do 1 at that point. Then you also had them use the thumbs up, thumbs down, whether they agreed or disagreed with the conjecture. You did a really great job scaffolding for them when you first started off with the big number, the 8,467, and then you broke it down to just focus on the 8, so 8 to the power of 3. And then you had to work together, but work independently. You broke it off, that gradual release of responsibility that you mentioned at the pre-conference, with giving them the 10 to the power of 10. And I liked how you modeled at the end why it was false, why the conjecture was false. So you did a really great job, and I could see through all these wonderful things that you did why they were able to successfully complete the task. So the goals were accomplished. What do you feel were some challenges?
Well, I think that's one of my biggest challenges is scaffolding at the moment who's understanding and who's not. When I have them put their answers up on the Padlet, you can already see some misconceptions. So there was one instance where I gave a problem and I got maybe 2 or 3 long answers. At that time, I could have stopped, and so I felt like that could have been clarified at the moment before moving on, but developing in that area. But I feel as though it's coming together. I felt like it was coming together and the purpose was met. So that was good.
Great, yes. I like how you used the random name calling and using the popsicle stick. So when you first used it and then Deanna went up. Then after that, I understood why. Does anybody have a different strategy? And then you would call somebody else, raise their hand, and they would go up. But I think that if you were to give them a strategy, or one of the students would model the strategy, which was great, then give them time to have their own individual problem and work on it. Then they could partner share it with somebody, and then you could do a popsicle stick again just for a quick review, and it would also help you to make sure that they're understanding that strategy.
So breaking it up into one strategy, and then do the whole I do, we do, you do, then go to the next strategy, I do, you do, we do, and so on.
Right, I think that would be really beneficial to them, and also because you mentioned in the pre-conference about how their strengths are being able to partner talk, and you mentioned when you started the lesson, okay, we know how to think things in our brain and talk about them, but now today we're going to have to put it on paper, so we're going to work on showing us different ways of how you can do the same thing.
Yeah, because the learning target and the mathematical practice and putting those together is what's been challenging. But I feel as though it's coming together. Does that make sense?
I think you did a really good job. You started off with your chart over there about how we're going to learn 4 different strategies, and how today we're going to write them in at least 2 or more ways. You underlined 2, and then at the end when you gave them the independent time, when you plugged in the numbers into the workbook, you went back to that. So they knew from the very beginning what the purpose was. Right. And then they knew independently, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I loved how they all wrote it in their journals. And I liked how you related it to your mathematical target that's on the wall. So it's just a great visual. And I think that that's another way that you were really exposing them to that academic vocabulary of what is the purpose of this, and how you were saying having that buy-in, so they know, okay, now I'm able to do that, and they successfully feel that they accomplished today's goal.
Right. I feel good. I feel like they learn quick, and they're getting the gist of what Common Core is. Getting the whole picture all together. This lesson really helped me, see where they're at in that, as far as that skill goes. So now I can move forward with that and really see if I can embrace it a little more in our